Picture one of history's most dramatic moments. Two of the largest fleets ever assembled in the ancient world, facing each other across the azure waters of the Ionian Sea. This was the Battle of Actium, a pivotal confrontation that would determine the fate of Rome and reshape the ancient world for centuries to come. In 31 BCE, the Mediterranean was a cauldron of tension. On one side stood Octavian, the ambitious young heir of Julius Caesar, commanding a fleet of 400 ships. Opposing him were Mark Antony and Cleopatra VII, the last queen of Ptolemaic Egypt, with their combined force of 500 vessels. Their clash would mark the final chapter of the Roman Republic and usher in the age of the Roman Empire. The roots of this conflict ran deep into Roman politics and personal ambition. After the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BCE, the Roman world had been torn apart by civil wars and power struggles. The triumvirate formed by Octavian, Mark Antony, and Marcus Lepidus had dissolved into bitter rivalry, particularly between Octavian and Antony. The situation was further complicated by Antony's relationship with Cleopatra, which Octavian skillfully used in his propaganda to portray Antony as a man who had abandoned Roman values for Eastern decadence. The Mediterranean world watched with bated breath as these titans prepared for battle. The stakes could not have been higher. This was more than just a military engagement. It was a clash of cultures, personalities, and visions for the future of Rome. Octavian represented traditional Roman values and Western authority, while Antony and Cleopatra embodied a more Hellenistic, Eastern-oriented conception of power. The battle site near Actium, on Greece's western coast, was chosen with strategic significance. The narrow waters would prove crucial in the coming confrontation, where superior tactics and maneuverability would triumph over raw power and numbers. As the opposing fleets gathered, the fate of the Mediterranean world hung in the balance. The outcome would determine not just who would rule Rome, but what kind of Rome would rule the world. This monumental clash would become one of the most decisive naval battles in history, marking the moment when the Roman Republic's transformation into the Roman Empire became inevitable. The Battle of Actium stands as a testament to how a single day's events can alter the course of civilization, reshaping political systems and cultural paradigms that would influence human society for millennia to come. In the dawn light of September 2nd, 31st BCE, as the opposing fleets prepared for battle, neither side could have fully grasped how their actions would echo through the centuries, creating ripples that would touch every corner of the Mediterranean world and beyond. This was not merely a battle for supremacy between rival Roman leaders. It was a turning point that would fundamentally alter the course of Western civilization. If you love discovering how a single battle changed the fate of entire empires, leave your like and subscribe to the Legacy of Empires channel. This story of power, betrayal, and military strategy influences our lives to this day. Get ready for an epic journey through the greatest naval battle of antiquity. Activate the bell so you don't miss any battles, empires, or mysteries of ancient civilizations. The crystal-clear waters near Actium, now known as Preveza in modern Greece, concealed a theater of unprecedented naval warfare. Recent archaeological discoveries have painted a vivid picture of this momentous battle, with ancient anchors, pottery fragments, and ship remains scattered across the seabed, telling their silent stories of that fateful day. The Roman warships of this era represented the pinnacle of ancient naval engineering. Archaeological evidence and contemporary accounts reveal vessels that were marvels of their time. The largest ships stretched up to 130 feet in length, featuring 3 tiers of oars arranged in an intricate pattern that allowed for maximum rowing efficiency. Battle towers rose impressively from their decks, providing elevated platforms for archers and artillery pieces that could rain down missiles on enemy vessels. Mark Antony's fleet of 500 ships included massive quinqueremes, the heaviest warships of the ancient world. These Egyptian vessels were particularly notable for their ornate decorations, with their hulls adorned with gold leaf and their sails dyed in royal purple. Archaeological findings suggest these ships were equipped with bronze rams weighing up to 2,000 pounds, designed to punch holes in enemy vessels below the waterline. The remains of these rams, some recovered from the seabed, bear intricate decorations and inscriptions that provide invaluable historical information. In contrast, Octavian's fleet of 400 vessels, though smaller in number, consisted primarily of lighter, more agile Liburnian vessels. Recent archaeological studies indicate these ships were specifically designed for the shallow waters of the Adriatic Sea. Their superior maneuverability was achieved through a sophisticated hull design that archaeological evidence suggests was copied from Illyrian pirates. These vessels typically measured between 80 and 100 feet in length and relied on 2 banks of oars, making them faster and more responsive than their larger counterparts. The battle site itself has yielded fascinating artifacts. Underwater excavations have uncovered everything from soldiers' personal effects to weapons and ship fittings. Lead sling bullets, some still bearing legionary inscriptions, provide testament to the ferocity of the fighting. The discovery of anchors arranged in tactical formations has helped historians reconstruct the battle strategies employed by both sides. Modern archaeological techniques, including underwater photogrammetry and sonar mapping, have revealed the extent of the ancient harbor installations at Actium. These facilities, some of which still exist as underwater structures, could accommodate hundreds of ships and included sophisticated docking systems, repair facilities, and storage areas for supplies and weapons. The material culture recovered from the site also provides insights into the daily life of the sailors and soldiers who participated in the battle. Amphorae fragments suggest the types of provisions carried aboard the ships, while personal items like coins, gaming pieces, and religious artifacts offer glimpses into the human aspect of this historic confrontation. This wealth of archaeological evidence, combined with ancient historical accounts, has allowed scholars to reconstruct not only the technical aspects of the battle, but also its human dimension, painting a comprehensive picture of one of antiquity's most decisive naval engagements. The Battle of Actium revolved around 3 towering figures whose personal ambitions, passions, and political maneuverings would shape the ancient world. Their complex relationships and competing interests created a dramatic tableau that would fascinate historians for millennia to come. Mark Antony emerges as one of history's most tragic figures. Once celebrated as Rome's greatest military commander after Julius Caesar, his transformation became the subject of endless discussion in Roman society. A brilliant tactician who had proved his worth in countless battles, Antony had earned the devotion of his legions through his charismatic leadership and willingness to share their hardships. However, his relationship with Cleopatra marked a profound change in his character. Contemporary sources describe how this once disciplined Roman general became increasingly influenced by Eastern customs, adopting Egyptian religious practices and luxurious habits that shocked traditional Roman sensibilities. His soldiers, once fiercely loyal, began to whisper about their commander appearing in public dressed as the god Osiris, hosting lavish feasts while they endured hardships, and seemingly placing Egyptian interests above Roman ones. Cleopatra VII, Philopator, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, was playing the most dangerous game of her life. Descended from Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's generals, she represented a dynasty that had ruled Egypt for 3 centuries. Brilliant, educated, and politically astute, Cleopatra spoke 9 languages and was well versed in philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. Her stake in the battle extended beyond her own survival. She fought for her son Caesarion, whom she claimed was Julius Caesar's only living son. Historical records suggest she contributed significant resources to the war effort, including Egypt's vast wealth and a substantial fleet. Her presence at Actium was both a symbol of her commitment to Antony and a calculated risk to protect her dynasty's interests. Octavian, though only in his early 30s at the time of Actium, had already proved himself a masterful political operator. Adopted posthumously by Julius Caesar, he had transformed himself from an unknown teenager into Rome's most powerful figure through a combination of shrewd political maneuvering and careful image management. Unlike Antony, who relied on personal charisma and military glory, Octavian excelled at behind-the-scenes manipulation and propaganda. He successfully portrayed himself as the defender of Roman traditions, while painting Antony as a man corrupted by foreign influence. His key ally was Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, a brilliant admiral whose tactical genius would prove decisive at Actium. Behind these principal actors stood other significant figures. Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, Octavian's most trusted general and friend, had revolutionized Roman naval warfare with innovative tactics and ship designs. Gaius Maecenas managed Octavian's political interests in Rome, ensuring stability while his master was away at war. On Antony's side, generals like Publius Canidius Crassus counseled against a naval battle, arguing for a land campaign where Antony's superior numbers might prevail. The interplay between these characters created a complex web of loyalties, betrayals, and strategic decisions that would ultimately determine the future of the Roman world. Their personal strengths and flaws, ambitions and fears would all come to play crucial roles in the outcome of this historic confrontation. The Battle of Actium was as much a clash of personalities as it was of armies and navies, demonstrating how individual characters can shape the course of history. The tension mounted with each passing day in the waters near Actium. Octavian's strategic blockade of the Peloponnese had effectively cut off Antony's supply lines, creating an increasingly desperate situation. Disease began to spread through Antony's troops, confined in their cramped ships and camps, weakening both their physical strength and morale. The lack of fresh provisions and the summer heat only exacerbated the deteriorating conditions. As August drew to a close, Antony found himself in an increasingly precarious position. His troops, once numbering 70,000 infantry and manning 500 ships, were now diminished by desertion and illness. Octavian's smaller but more agile fleet of 400 vessels, commanded by the brilliant Agrippa, had effectively boxed Antony's forces into an increasingly tight corner. The situation demanded action, and both sides knew a decisive battle was imminent. On September 2nd, 30th BCE, as the sun rose over the Ionian Sea, the two mighty fleets lined up in battle formation. The morning light glinted off bronze ram bows, and heavily armed warships stretched as far as the eye could see. Agrippa's battle plan demonstrated his tactical genius in its elegant simplicity. Rather than engaging Antony's larger, heavier ships in direct combat, where their size and power might prove decisive, he intended to use his more maneuverable fleet to execute complex encirclement maneuvers. Agrippa had designed his strategy around the strengths of his lighter Liburnian vessels. These nimble ships could outmaneuver Antony's larger quinqueremes, especially in the confined waters near the coast. The plan called for his ships to avoid the deadly ram attacks of Antony's larger vessels, while gradually tightening a naval noose around the enemy fleet. This would force Antony's ships into increasingly closer quarters, where their size would become a disadvantage rather than an asset. The geography of the battleground played perfectly into Agrippa's strategy. The narrow waters near Actium limited the ability of Antony's larger ships to maneuver effectively, while the smaller ships of Octavian's fleet could more easily navigate the confined space. This tactical advantage would prove crucial as the battle unfolded, fundamentally affecting the course of this historic engagement. As dawn broke and the commanders gave their final orders, the fate of the Roman world hung in the balance. The strategic situation had become clear. Antony's forces, though formidable, were operating under increasingly difficult conditions. His troops were weakened by disease and low morale, while his ships, though powerful, were at a disadvantage in the confined waters. Octavian's forces, led by the tactical genius Agrippa, were poised to execute a battle plan that would exploit every weakness in Antony's position. If you were Mark Antony at this crucial moment, what would your strategy be? Would you fight to the bitter end, hoping to break through Agrippa's encirclement with your powerful ships? Or would you seek an escape route, preserving your forces for another day? Pause the video and share your theory in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Legacy of Empires channel. The stage was set for one of the most decisive naval battles in history, a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of the principal actors, but the future of Rome itself. As the morning mist cleared and the opposing fleets faced each other across the azure waters, neither side could have fully grasped how their actions would reshape the ancient world. The Battle of Actium was steeped in religious symbolism and cultural significance that reached far beyond its military implications. In the pre-dawn hours of September 2nd, both fleets engaged in elaborate religious ceremonies, each side seeking divine favor for the coming conflict. Roman priests conducted traditional sacrifices aboard Octavian's vessels, burning incense and offering libations to Neptune, god of the seas, while augurs carefully observed the flight of birds for auspicious signs. The cultural and religious divide between the two forces was stark and deliberate. Octavian's men performed strictly Roman rites, emphasizing their connection to traditional Roman values and gods. They carried standards bearing the eagle of Jupiter and the images of Roman deities, representing continuity with centuries of Roman military tradition. Witnesses reported seeing eagles soaring above Octavian's fleet, a powerful omen that many interpreted as Jupiter's blessing on their cause. Such signs were meticulously recorded and later became part of Octavian's carefully crafted narrative of divine endorsement. In contrast, Antony's fleet displayed a fascinating fusion of Roman and Egyptian religious practices. Egyptian priests aboard Cleopatra's ships conducted ceremonies to Isis and Serapis, while Roman legionaries made offerings to Mars and Neptune. This religious syncretism reflected the broader cultural synthesis that Antony had embraced, and which Octavian's propaganda had effectively weaponized against him. The presence of Egyptian religious symbols and rituals aboard Roman warships became a powerful symbol of what Octavian's supporters saw as the corruption of Roman values by Eastern influences. The battle represented a clash between two fundamentally different visions of Rome's future. Octavian positioned himself as the defender of traditional Roman virtues, discipline, austerity, and the mos maiorum, the ancestral custom. His propaganda emphasized his role as the protector of Roman civilization against Eastern decadence and foreign customs. The simplicity of his personal habits and his careful adherence to Roman religious traditions were carefully calculated to reinforce this image. Antony and Cleopatra, conversely, embodied a more cosmopolitan vision, one that sought to blend the best of Roman and Hellenistic cultures. Their court at Alexandria had become famous for its luxury and intellectual sophistication, combining Greek philosophy, Egyptian mysticism, and Roman political power. This cultural fusion was reflected in everything from their military organization to their religious observances, but it also made them vulnerable to accusations of having abandoned Roman values. The mythological dimensions of the conflict were equally significant. Antony had deliberately cultivated an association with Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstatic religion, while Cleopatra styled herself as the living embodiment of Isis. Octavian countered by emphasizing his connection to Apollo, the god of order and civilization, even building a temple to Apollo on the Palatine Hill. These divine associations were more than mere propaganda. They reflected deeply held beliefs about the cosmic significance of the coming battle. The cultural symbolism extended to the ships themselves. Octavian's fleet maintained the austere functionality traditional to Roman warships, while Antony's vessels, particularly those of the Egyptian contingent, were decorated with gold and purple sails, colors associated with royal power in both Roman and Egyptian traditions. These visual distinctions reinforce the cultural narratives at play: Roman simplicity versus Eastern luxury, tradition versus innovation, West versus East. This cultural and religious dimension of the battle would prove crucial to its historical interpretation. Octavian's victory would be seen not merely as a military triumph, but as the triumph of Roman values over foreign influence, of Western order over Eastern chaos. This narrative would become fundamental to the ideology of the emerging Roman Empire, shaping how future generations would understand this pivotal moment in history. The battle's religious and cultural significance continued to resonate long after the last ship had been sunk or captured. Octavian would build temples and monuments commemorating his victory, establishing a new imperial cult that combined traditional Roman religion with ruler worship. The Battle of Actium thus marked not only a military and political turning point, but a cultural and religious transformation that would define the character of the Roman Empire for centuries to come. As the battle commenced in the early hours, the tranquil waters of the Ionian Sea erupted into chaos. The morning silence was shattered by the crash of bronze rams against wooden hulls, the splash of thousands of oars, and the battle cries of sailors and marines. Antony's massive quinquereme, towering over the waters like floating fortresses, attempted to utilize their primary advantage, their powerful bronze rams, each weighing over a ton, designed to puncture the hulls of smaller vessels. The initial phase of the battle saw Antony's larger ships aggressively pursuing Octavian's fleet, their rams cutting through the waves as they sought to close with their smaller adversaries. These behemoths of the ancient seas, some carrying up to 400 men each, tried to use their superior size and weight to devastating effect. The sound of splintering timber and the screams of drowning men filled the air as some of these massive warships successfully rammed their targets. However, Agrippa's tactical genius soon became apparent. His lighter, more maneuverable Liburnian vessels executed a series of complex formations with remarkable precision. Like a carefully choreographed dance of death, they would approach Antony's larger ships, feint an attack, then withdraw before the heavy quinqueremes could bring their rams to bear. This strategy gradually drew Antony's fleet into an ever-tightening circle, where their size became a hindrance rather than an advantage. The battle reached a fever pitch by midday. The sea was littered with broken oars, shattered planks, and the debris of destroyed ships. The air was thick with smoke from flaming arrows and burning vessels. Hand-to-hand combat erupted wherever ships managed to grapple, with marines throwing grappling hooks and attempting to board enemy vessels. The clash of swords and the thud of missiles added to the cacophony of battle. Then, at the most critical moment of the engagement, something extraordinary and unexpected occurred. Cleopatra's flagship, instantly recognizable by its distinctive purple sails and gilded stern, suddenly broke from the battle line. Without warning or apparent provocation, her ship turned southward, catching a favorable wind. In its wake followed 60 Egyptian vessels, their oars churning the water as they abandoned the fight. This sudden departure created a gap in Antony's battle line, further compromising his already precarious position. The sight of Cleopatra's retreat had an immediate and dramatic effect on Mark Antony. In a moment that would be recounted and debated by historians for centuries to come, the great Roman general, who had fought countless battles and faced innumerable dangers, appeared to lose all reason. Transferring from his flagship to a faster quinquereme, he began to pursue Cleopatra's fleeing vessel, leaving behind his loyal soldiers and sailors to their fate. The psychological impact of this double betrayal on Antony's remaining forces was devastating. Their commander, the man they had followed from Rome to Egypt and back, had abandoned them in the midst of battle. The sight of their leader's retreat spread confusion and despair through the ranks. Some ships attempted to maintain formation and continue the fight, while others began to look for escape routes. As news of Antony's flight spread through the fleet, discipline began to break down. Some captains surrendered their vessels, while others fought on with desperate valor. The more fortunate ships managed to break through the tightening noose of Octavian's fleet, but many were trapped and either captured or destroyed. The sea turned red with blood as the battle devolved into a series of individual ship-to-ship encounters. The remaining hours of the battle became a brutal cleanup operation for Octavian's forces. With their tactical cohesion shattered and their leadership gone, Antony's remaining ships were systematically isolated and overwhelmed. Some crews chose to fight to the death rather than surrender, while others threw down their weapons and begged for mercy. As the sun began to set, the waters around Actium were filled with burning and sinking ships, a testament to one of the largest and most decisive naval battles in ancient history. This dramatic turn of events would not only decide the immediate outcome of the battle, but would also seal the fate of the Roman Republic. Antony's decision to abandon his forces in pursuit of Cleopatra would become legendary, seen by many as the ultimate proof of how Eastern luxury and passion had corrupted one of Rome's greatest generals. The Battle of Actium thus became more than just a military engagement. It became a morality tale about duty, loyalty, and the consequences of choosing love over honor. The Battle of Actium fundamentally transformed the ancient world, marking the definitive end of both the Roman Republic and the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt. Octavian's victory ushered in an era of unprecedented change that would reshape Mediterranean civilization for centuries to come. In the immediate aftermath of the battle, Octavian emerged as the undisputed master of the Roman world, and his subsequent transformation into Augustus, the first Roman emperor, represented a carefully orchestrated transition from republic to empire. The political consequences were far-reaching and profound. The Roman Senate granted Octavian extraordinary powers, and in 27 BCE he received the title of Augustus, marking the official beginning of the Roman Empire. This new political system, which Augustus characterized as the restored republic, was in fact a carefully disguised monarchy that would endure for nearly 5 centuries in the West and over a millennium in the East. Egypt's incorporation into the Roman Empire as a province marked the end of 3 millennia of pharaonic rule. The death of Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom, symbolically concluded the Hellenistic age that had begun with Alexander the Great. Egypt became Rome's personal granary, its vast wealth funding the empire's expansion and elaborate building programs. The annual grain shipments from Alexandria to Rome became crucial to the empire's stability, feeding its growing population and underlining the strategic importance of Octavian's victory. Archaeological evidence continues to reveal the magnitude of Actium's impact. Octavian commissioned massive building projects to commemorate his victory, including the remarkable Monument of Actium. This structure, decorated with the bronze rams captured from enemy ships, served as a powerful symbol of Roman naval supremacy. Recent excavations have uncovered portions of this monument, including dedicatory inscriptions and architectural elements that demonstrate its impressive scale and sophisticated design. The cultural impact of Actium resonated throughout the empire. Octavian's victory was celebrated in art, literature, and architecture. The poet Virgil immortalized the battle in the Aeneid, while Horace composed odes celebrating the triumph. The victory was commemorated on coins, monuments, and public buildings throughout the empire, becoming a cornerstone of imperial propaganda. The image of naval rams adorned public spaces, serving as permanent reminders of this pivotal victory. The battle's legacy extended far beyond military and political spheres. It influenced Roman art, architecture, and literature for generations. The victory monument at Actium became a template for later triumphal monuments throughout the empire. The battle scene was frequently depicted in Roman art, appearing on everything from public monuments to private domestic decorations. These artistic representations helped establish a visual language of imperial power that would influence Western art for centuries. Economic changes followed the political transformation. The establishment of the Pax Romana, made possible by Actium's decisive outcome, created unprecedented economic stability across the Mediterranean. Trade routes were secured, piracy was suppressed, and a unified economic system emerged. The incorporation of Egypt into the empire provided vast resources that funded an extensive program of public works, including roads, aqueducts, and temples. The battle's influence on naval technology and warfare was equally significant. The superior maneuverability of Octavian's lighter ships led to a revolution in Roman naval design. The larger, heavier vessels favored by Antony were gradually phased out in favor of more agile craft. This transformation in naval warfare would influence Mediterranean maritime combat for centuries. From a broader historical perspective, Actium represents a crucial turning point in Western civilization. It marked the transition from the republican system of divided power to a centralized imperial authority, a model that would influence political thinking well into modern times. The battle's outcome ensured that the Mediterranean would remain united under Roman rule, facilitating the spread of Roman law, culture, and institutions throughout Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. In modern scholarship, Actium continues to provide valuable insights into ancient warfare, politics, and social change. Archaeological discoveries, including underwater findings, regularly add new dimensions to our understanding of this pivotal event. The battle serves as a compelling reminder of how single events can fundamentally alter the course of human civilization, creating ripples that continue to influence our world today. The Battle of Actium stands as a testament to how personal decisions and individual choices can dramatically alter the course of human history. This momentous naval engagement was far more than a mere clash of ships and soldiers. It represented a pivotal moment when the ancient world fundamentally changed, marking the death of one era and the birth of another. The battle teaches us profound lessons about human nature, power, and the complex interplay between personal ambition and historical forces. Mark Antony's fateful decision to abandon his fleet in pursuit of Cleopatra demonstrates how emotion can override strategic judgment, even in history's most crucial moments. This personal choice, made in the heat of battle, would have consequences that would echo through centuries. Moreover, Octavian's victory illustrates how careful planning, strategic patience, and effective propaganda can shape not only military outcomes, but also historical narrative. His transformation into Augustus, the first Roman emperor, shows how individuals can seize historical moments to fundamentally reshape political systems and social structures. The battle's legacy reminds us that historical turning points often arise from a complex confluence of personal decisions, cultural tensions, and societal forces. The death of the Roman Republic and the birth of the empire didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the product of decades of social change, political upheaval, and individual ambitions, all culminating in this decisive engagement off the coast of Actium. As we reflect on this momentous battle, we must consider how such pivotal moments continue to influence our world today. The political systems, cultural values, and social structures that emerged from Augustus's victory continue to shape modern institutions and thinking. The battle's outcome determined not just who would rule Rome, but what kind of political and social system would dominate Western civilization for centuries to come. The story of Actium, also holds valuable lessons about leadership, loyalty, and the price of power. It shows how military might, political acumen, and personal charisma must all align for transformative historical change to occur. The battle demonstrates that history's greatest moments often hang by the thinnest of threads, where individual choices can tip the balance between vastly different possible futures. What do you think about this epic naval battle that changed Rome's destiny? Share in the comments which other great battle or character from ancient history you'd like to learn about in our next video. If you were impressed by these historical facts, share this video with that friend who also loves mysteries from the past. Don't forget to subscribe to Legacy of Empires channel, like the video, comment, and share. The Battle of Actium reminds us that history is not just a collection of dates and facts, but a living tapestry of human decisions, ambitions, and consequences. As we look back across the centuries, we can still learn valuable lessons from this pivotal moment when the ancient world changed forever and a new era of human civilization was born.